people have said that, hey, no one watches preseason games. No one watches. Like, this is not preseason is not a big deal for the WNBA because no one watches. No one really cares about what happens in preseason games. But I'm going to tell you this year, we have seen an influx in preseason game attendance. And I want to tell the story like this. So last year in preseason, the Chicago Sky played the New York Liberty. This was a home preseason game. All right, May the 7th, 2024. I was there. I think Mama joined me on that game. I'm pretty sure. Mama was there for that game. But okay, Sky versus Liberty. In that game, actually, the Sky just destroyed the Liberty, 101-53. And whatnot. So anyway, it's a great day for the Chicago Sky. But this game had a registered attendance of 3,132 fans in attendance. All right, Sky versus Liberty, preseason, May the 7th, 2024. Now, a thing to note is, one, that game was only open to season ticket holders. And so, yes, that number is very, very low, but part of that is, one, because it was only preseason fans. All right, we moved that up a year, and let's talk about some numbers. So yesterday, the Chicago Sky had 4,688 fans in attendance for their game against the Minnesota Lynx. The Golden State Valkyries ended up having 17,428 fans in attendance for their game against the Sparks, which they lost by 1 point to the LA Sparks, 83-82. Now that game, the reason why 17,000 plus came to that game, one, is because it's a brand new team, brand new court. Like they're excited. You have the Golden State Valkyries at the Chase Center. It was a big deal. And they were like, hey, all of y'all better come out for this game. And so, yes, that was a huge reason as to why that game has 17,000 fans, right? Then we go to the other game that happened yesterday, which was the Aces versus the Phoenix Mercury in Las Vegas at Michelob Ultra Arena. We saw 8,637 fans go out for that game. All right. We also saw another preseason game, Storm versus the Sun, where we were in. That was on May the 4th. We were in Seattle. We saw 7,153 fans join, and then also on May the 4th, we saw in Iowa City, we saw 14,998 fans in attendance to watch the Indiana Fever take on Brazil. The reason why I'm saying this, the reason why I'm talking about these games, the reason why I'm talking about the numbers is because all in all, both small and large, we have seen an increase from last year preseason to this year preseason. It's just obvious. We've seen an increase in that. All right. So the idea that people don't go out to watch WNBA preseason games, yeah, it's gone. But I specifically want to spend some time talking about the Sunday game with the Fever versus Brazil, because I think that gives a lot of insight as to the success that the WNBA can have if they fully lean more into what happened on Sunday. And to me, this gives a nod to what we will see in the future. All right, because on Sunday, 1.3 million people tuned in to watch a preseason WNBA game. All right. Not only did they watch a WNBA preseason game, 1.3 million people on average. Not only did that happen, the game was on ESPN. Think about it. That's never happened before, ever, or at least that anybody can really remember, right? The fact that a WNBA game preseason was on ESPN during the NBA playoffs. That's a wild thing to say. And it's even wilder to imagine that 1.3 million people on average, 14,000, a little bit less than 15,000, ended up showing up to the arena to watch the Indiana Fever play a preseason game against high schoolers. They played against the Brazilian national team that was a team that has quite a bit of high schoolers in it, right? Has some high schoolers, has some teenagers, young players. This is not like the Fever were playing another WNBA team. They weren't. They were playing a team that a lot of people don't know anybody on the team, right? Most people cannot name anybody on the Brazilian national team, with the exception of maybe Camila Cardoso, but Camila Cardoso didn't even play in that game because she's with the Chicago Sky, right? That's the kicker, guys. This number, 1.3 million on average, beats ESPN's average for WNBA games for all of last year. All right? The peak was 1.6. 1.3 million is on average. All right? That's 13% higher than the WNBA regular season average last year. Okay? But it gets even wilder, guys. Did you know that only 2 WNBA preseason games in the last 15 years has had better numbers than that? And both of those games, of course, surprise, 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 had LeBron James on it, right? This was not a fluke number to watch this game, right? This is a future prediction of what is more to come, right? The Indiana Fever played Brazil in Caitlin Clark's first game in Iowa, back at her old stomping grounds of Carver Hawkeye Arena. Guys, and this game was wild. This was a full circle moment for Caitlin and Indiana, or Caitlin and Iowa, really. This is a game that sold out in a couple of minutes. In less than 30 minutes, it sold out, right? Like almost 15,000. It was, technically the number was 14,998 fans. We just gonna round that up and say 1,500. So in front of 1,500 fans, packed in Carver Hawkeye Arena, we saw people paying up to around $440 on average when it came to ticket resale. We saw a 116 level decibel during the intros. That's very, very loud. Very, very loud. And Caitlin, they came here for her, and she gave them what they came for, meaning a crazy, crazy, crazy bomb as the first shot of the game. Now, of course, was that intentional? Yes. Did she give the fans what they wanted? Yes. Did she play a ton of minutes? No. But hey, the fans were happy. She finished the game with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists in just about 18 minutes. Then, of course, she's at the fourth quarter because why do you need to play in the fourth quarter against Brazil? It doesn't make any sense. But she gave the fans what they wanted early, and she sat because at that point, Indiana was absolutely destroying Brazil. But the real story, guys, was off the court. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out and let's continue to talk through this, okay? Again, guys, we are talking about 1.3 million on average, 1.6 million peak who watched this game. This was a 71% jump in pregame show viewership as well, so that's something to note. WNBA Countdown was at 571,000, which was huge. That's a huge increase from last year's numbers. It's big. It's absolutely big. And guys, this is on the heels of a 2024 WNBA season that shattered records left and right in the WNBA. In 2024, we saw 22 regular season games that crossed 1 million viewers. 22, a record. We saw the All-Star game that had 3.4 million viewers. The highest ever for a WNBA All-Star game, right? The 2025 draft, 1.25 million people watched that game, watched that draft, right? And Caitlin Clark was a part of, I believe, 20 of 23 of the WNBA's most watched games last year. This is not a random blip. This is a shift. This is a full force trend, right? That we will continue to see for a long time, right? And so some people may be like, of course, we saw huge numbers for the Indiana versus Brazil game. Of course, it was in Iowa. Of course it did numbers because it's Caitlin in Iowa. Everybody wants to see that. Sure. And for that, I say, yes, you're right. Yeah, of course. Sure. But I think that just further proves the point, guys. This was the proves the point that I'm trying to make. This was an exhibition game. This was no playoffs at stake. This was no rivalry. These teams have never played before. All right? This is just one team playing a glorified warm-up match against a national team that a lot of people don't even know a player on that team. And still, with that glorified warm-up match, 1.3 million people showed up to watch. Tells us two things, guys. The demand is real. The demand is real. Yes, absolutely. Are people coming to watch Caitlin? Of course. I think you'd be silly and foolish to say otherwise. But the idea that if you put it on a bigger platform, more people will watch is a huge thing. This is the first year, guys, the first year ever that the WNBA made available all preseason games. This is a sea change, guys. Sea change. Last year, there was a fan on Twitter who went viral because she live streamed the Minnesota Lynx versus Sky game because it wasn't available for people to watch. And that led to a whole thing. And now this year, all games are accessible to people. And you can watch them for free on WNBA League Pass. It's a big deal, right? ESPN was like, actually, we want to get into action. We want to air a preseason game. It's a big deal. And it shows that when you make things more accessible, fans want to watch. Fans have been, yes, let me hold a dollar, man. Yes, fans have been thirsty for this for a long time. You have to look. It shows progress, right? This shows progress, and it shows that the WNBA is primed to explode in 2025. The Fever alone, guys, this year is going to have 41 games nationally televised. That's more than any franchise in league history, right? And it's just getting started. It's just getting started. And again, of course, the leaders of this thing is going to be the Indiana Fever, of course, because they got Caitlin. However, this is not just going to be a Indiana Fever-based thing. As I said earlier, as I talked through the numbers, we've seen high numbers across the board for attendance this year, not just with the Fever. Of course, the biggest numbers was with the Fever. However, you get what I'm saying. This is one of those things where, yes, they're the trendsetters. Yes, they're leading the pack. However, we are seeing growth. We are seeing absolute growth everywhere else, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. I expect the Valkyries to continue to have a lot of fans come out to their games. Now, do I expect every single Valkyries game to have the attendance of yesterday? No, I don't, because yesterday was very, very special. But for 17,000 fans to come out to a preseason game in California, a place that has a whole bunch of other stuff to do, it's huge. And what I'm saying, this is a trend that is going to continue as the season goes on. And last year was a record-setting year for the WNBA. I think this year is also going to be a record-setting year for the W. You got Paige Bueckers in Dallas. You have the likes of Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso in Chicago. You have Asia Wilson in Vegas. Like you have Kelsey Plum in LA. Like you have a lot of big things happening all throughout the WNBA. And I love it. Here's the deal, guys. The product in the WNBA is better now more than ever, in my opinion, right? This is big. And I think this is only just a glimpse of what more is to come. I personally am excited about it because to me, yes, the main story on this is about Caitlin and about the Indiana Fever, but I don't think it's just about her and that team. I think it shows what growth the WNBA overall has had and what this means for everybody in the W. This means more games. It means bigger stages. It means higher stakes. It means ultimately more money. The league is growing now faster now more than ever. And I love it. I love it. So if you're trying to downplay the WNBA, don't. It's not going down from here. All right. It's going up. I think a lot of people have run out of excuses as to why they don't want to watch the WNBA. I think it's a great product. It really is booming on all fronts, and I personally love it. I think this is really, really, really great. And yes, Chuckle, I mean, I would agree. Yes, the product has always been good, personally, because I've been watching for forever. Like I know how great the WNBA has been for decades, right? Now other people are watching more. They're engaging, they're tuning in, and I love to see it. And again, guys, as I went through with the numbers, yes, the main part of the story was the Indiana Fever, but it wasn't just about them. I talked about the Golden State Valkyries and how they had some very high numbers. I talked about how the Chicago Sky had higher numbers than last year. I talked about how the Aces had almost 9,000 fans come out yesterday. Like we are seeing growth all around, and I think this is huge for the W. Okay. I think that is great. Zakara says, notice all this increase happened without lowering the rim. Yes. LJN says Sky Brazil only drew 300,000. Well, one, I don't know if that's true. I didn't actually look up the numbers for it, so I don't know. But let's assume LJN is correct, which LJN might be. I don't know. I didn't look. But let's just say it is 300,000. Think about it this way. That further proves my point. Yes, of course, it's not as high as 1.3 million. No one's saying it is. No one's saying that's what it should be. The point is, last year it was 0 because it wasn't aired. It wasn't. Preseason games were not aired. So last year was 0. So 0 to 300K, that looked like a pretty good deal to me. I'm just saying. I think all of the I don't know if that was meant to be a dig or not, but it's not a dig. 300,000, if that's a true number, if LJN is correct in that number, 300,000 is excellent for a preseason game. Remember, this is brand new for the WNBA. The WNBA did not used to air this stuff. Okay, that's not a dig. You know, and you will see people who will make that a dig. They'll post articles, they'll make videos that say all this stuff about, see, nobody wants to watch because only 300,000 people watch the Chicago Sky versus Brazil. Now, this is assuming that number is right. If that's the truth, 300,000 people watching a preseason game is huge. Yes, it's not as big as 1.3, but it also was on Ion as well. Now, do I believe if it was on ESPN, it would be at 1.3? No, I don't. I do think it'd be bigger than 300, you know. Maybe it'd be around, 500,000, 600,000. Of course, yeah, not as big as Indiana. However, that's still really good. I don't understand the dig. I really don't understand the dig. Okay, all right. Douglas, thank you so much for the super chat. Says the 36-footer at the end of the third quarter she made the 24-footer to start the game. Yeah, and it was great to see. It was great to see. Kim K says, thanks so much for the super chat. Says, Quita, sorry, but who's more annoying, Caitlyn fans or Caitlyn haters? Exhausting listening. I think it's both very annoying. I don't understand. Like, dog. I think I don't know. I'm annoyed by it all. To be quite honest with you, I think it's very. It's the attempt to downgrade anything else that any other team does or any other player does to exalt Caitlyn is ridiculous. Because rational people all know that in a lot of ways, Caitlyn and Indiana Fever are in a different sphere of influence, of popularity, of butts and seats, of ratings, right? We should all know that. I mean, it's very clear from the numbers. Like, you can obviously tell that's the case. So for there's people who like intentionally try to find any type of thing in comparison to downgrade and be like, oh, see, they suck because not as many people watch them as they did Indiana. Well, duh, of course, I get it. And then there's like it doesn't make any sense. Like, why is it? Yes, of course, we all know this. Rational people know this. Of course, you'll have those irrational people who won't admit it. But like, come on now. Like, we all get this. This is not necessary to dig every single time. It's not necessary. Anyway, I gotta go. I really gotta go. I am running late. Guys, y'all have a great day.